All right, war number 4. We're up against Nation, perennial top 3, and we always kind of tend to think about these guys as our arch rivals, but I don't think that we can do that because we never beat them. I think the last time we beat them was season 14, if I recall correctly, and yeah, it's season 34, so that's 20 seasons. Last season, they cleared our defense with a 0 in the death column, which was very impressive, and we just know that we've got to be at our absolute best and most focused to have a shot here. So always a tough war, but we are bringing in a pretty cool team this war. It's, I guess, a slightly different than normal team. We've got Apocalypse and CGR, but also Professor X for one fight, and we'll discuss why when we get there. This first fight, I'm going to be using Apocalypse on this Killmonger. If I was a better Professor X player, I guess he would be an option here as well. This node does have debuff immunity after you knock the defender down, so CGR isn't a great option. But regardless, I would have used Apocalypse anyway because I need to get him built up, and I don't have the benefit of a synergy. I think over the last season and a half or so, basically, I think maybe even since the start of last season, I've primarily used Apocalypse without synergy and just naturally tried to build him up. And that's just nice to have that extra attacker slot. So, but yeah, this fight, it's got ebb and flow knockdown and then the debuff immunity. And because a lot of Apocalypse's damage comes from his debuffs and specifically the burst damage that you get on your specials when you throw a special when the defender has debuffs, you just got to play this fight to the SP3 only, and it's just a long fight. So I do have this fight sped up. I think it's like 2x speed or 2.5x speed, something like that. But Killmonger, actually, I would prefer to fight a thing here. There's a lot more to pay attention to, and I guess, in my opinion, against Killmonger. Maybe it's the same amount of layers, but Killmonger. One thing that I want to pay attention to throughout this fight, you guys can, if you're kind of paying attention to Killmonger's reverberation. Basically, I want to clear his power and try to only hit him. I just want to clear his power before his reverb refreshes, so that when I do hit him, I'm not taking reverb damage. So here you guys see that the fight is going well, but I'm going to make a pretty dumb mistake. I do have an invulnerability boost here. There I use up one of the indestructible charges, taking some damage on the block. And I'm going to push him to his SP2 here. I'm going to bait out the SP2, and then I'm going to heavy him, and I threw the SP3 while he still had one of his indestructible charges from the SP2 left. He gets 3 when he throws the SP2. So I just totally wasted that SP3. That definitely would have been the end of the fight. And, it's like not a huge deal. I don't know, it's like an extra 40 seconds or something of fight time. Maybe 30 seconds, something like that. But it's just annoying, especially when you're in a long fight. It's kind of a relief just to be at the end. And I just totally blew it. All right, so here we have an Ebony Maw on Mixed Master, aggro prowess, and Ebony Maw, as you guys can see from that little icon, that green icon, does benefit from the Mystic Global. So Professor X bypasses both of those. Now, their bans were Quake and Torch, who are, in my opinion, the 2 best options for this fight. And then they also banned Ghost as well. So if Professor X has 25 or more channeling charges, then he can't be missed or evaded. I'm going to start with 0 channeling charges, and you can build up channeling by holding your heavy attack or charging your heavy. So you guys will see, the only thing that I want to do here at the beginning of this fight is get up to 25 channeling charges. And then once I'm there, I'm good for the rest of the fight. You guys will see how it works. I'm not a Professor X expert by any stretch, so I'm not going to give you a breakdown of how he works, but there are some channels out there that you can check out to kind of explain his mechanics. But basically, at this point, All I want to do is build up to 100 channeling charges, and I want to have about 2.5 bars of power for this fight. And then I can, when I have 100 channeling charges and I throw a special, I'll inflict mind control, lock his power completely, and with the mutant power back boosts and special damage boosts, I'll just be able to recycle my SP2s until he's dead, basically. So I wanted to bait this out. Here I'm going to go ahead and charge. I can falter him. There I'm at 100 channeling charges. I throw my SP2. You guys see that I'm right back to an SP2. I'm going to swipe a little Phantom Light attack to build an additional prowess post-special, and then just go right back into the cycle. And it all finishes so quickly. It's tough to kind of explain the mechanics, but very good matchup, very fun fight. I did it once in the off-season. The only downside in that fight is Ebony Maw has different missions, and one of his missions is to end an opponent buff, and then when he completes those missions, he degens you passively. So it's really unavoidable to, that you're going to suffer one of those degens. And that's why it didn't come out of that fight with, 98% health. But not a big deal. So, all right, this Nick Fury, Lizer moved up for me here. Lizer, as I'm sure most of you who watch this channel know, she's definitely the best Omega player that I know. She's got to be one of the best in the world. So she could have easily taken this fight, but I actually asked for this fight specifically so that I could get my Apocalypse and another genetic code here. But, yeah, it's got Bubble Shield, those 3 little passive red shield icons underneath my name. Once that gets to 10, his next attack will be unblockable. And then it's also got EMP modification and Burden of Might. So basically, when I gain a buff, if he throws a special attack, I am going to take passive shock damage, and then once a buff of mine expires, so like if I use Dexterity, I get the Precision buff, and then I hit and it expires, I'm going to lose my power. So there we cancel Bubble Shield or reset Bubble Shield, however you want to think about it, and I just need him to throw this special. Unfortunately, because I've been dexing, I'm going to lose my power after he throws the special. Not a huge deal. You guys can see that the shock damage is very minimal because I haven't been buffing a lot in this fight. Alright, and I should have finished my combo there to push him over 2 bars. I don't know why I didn't. I think the whole goal was actually just to keep him from throwing another special so that I could get up to my SP1 and end the fight. And here I'm able to. So there are definitely cleaner versions of this fight. Probably the smartest version is just to throw the first special and then save to your SP3. And you can throw the SP3 when he's in real Nick Fury mode at the end. But yeah, anyway. Alright, so these 2 fights I was pretty nervous about. And this is the reason that I wanted to try to build up Apocalypse as much as possible. So also, that is my legit potion stash at the moment. I've only got 8 of those left. I've claimed all my comp packages. I'm in rough shape relative to everybody else that I've seen their YouTube channel, like their YouTube videos, their war videos, and they're all like maxed out. So not good. I think it's probably because I get roughed up a little bit in war. But anyway, so all right, the strategy here, I'm going to use a Power Start 1 boost, and I want to get to my SP3. So that I can, so I don't have to worry about him auto-blocking my special attacks, which he can do. So, basically, you just got to slow play the hell out of the front end of this fight. I am running half suicides for this too, just for the extra damage. But basically, it's going to be parry and then 1 hit on the strike counter menu, and that is it basically. So. I'm also going to have a couple issues with inputs in this fight. Not to like just blame input issues. I know that that's a hot thing to do right now, and I've done it a couple times, but unfortunately, they do kind of keep popping up a little bit. Not a huge deal, but yeah, I mean, you guys will see what I'm talking about. So, all right, so I knocked him down. His shield is down. I'm going to try to rush to my SP3. There he parries me, and I can throw the SP3. All right, so now we're good. He's got just a couple block penetration charges, but that's not a big deal if I'm on point here. does a ton of damage. He's at an SP1, and this is where I'm going to start kind of things are just not working the way that I'm thinking that they're working. So yeah. Anyway, all right, and that's basically it. I mean, those are the two issues that I had in this fight. And then I'm gonna make one bad mistake, and it's here. I knock him down, and I'm like impatient, and because I just took those SP1s, I'm like, all right, I can finish this fight. Well, he's like, no, you idiot, punishes me, and you know I'm gonna get through this fight. Obviously, I'm not gonna die at this point, but I just showed you my potion stash, which is in dire straits, and yeah. Anyway, so Apocalypse is max boosted. He's got a lot of health. I think he's like 92,000 health with max boosts, and the masteries that I run, which is basically greater strength, 9 out of 9. So I get 8% additional health anyway. So yeah, that's that's basically my stash. I am totally effed. But yeah, all right. So we've got 4 genetic code for this America Chavez. I wanted to have 4 code just in case she got passive. I got cornered. I needed to kind of get in and out by hitting into her block to get that stun. Like, just trying to think of all the bad things that can happen. Now, one thing, going into this, I was thinking to myself, all right, just block her special attacks. If I'm landing my parries and stuff, I won't have to worry about her unblockable SP2, but just block her SP1 if she throws that, and here I'm going to not block it. So I throw my SP2 directly into the global, and she punishes me. Fortunately, now I can dex because the global's on cooldown, but fortunately I don't have any more Apocalypse fights, so you know I don't have to worry about healing him up again. But just another mistake. I just kind of got lost in the fight. A lot of different icons that are up and stuff like that, but we get through it. All right, so this next fight is pretty fun. It's Mysterio on node 53, which is polka dot power and stun reflection. Now this is pretty good placement. Obviously they banned Torch, and he's poison immune unless you armor break him. So the CGR is a really good option. Herc is also a very good option. Those are probably the 2 best options. But it's hard for me to imagine Hercules getting through this fight faster than CGR does. And because of polka dot power, where they don't gain, you're not going to gain any combat power unless they're suffering from a damage over time debuff. I could throw the SP1 to incinerate him, but I'm not going to do that because I want to get to my SP2. But because I'm losing the normal combat power that I would get from my combos, you have to account for that when you're boosting. So we're going to use a Power Start 1 boost, and you guys are going to see that the Power Start 1 with a specific rotation with CGR here is going to put me perfectly at 2 bars of power. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to power gain on our third judgment here instead of the second one. So we're going to start with the medium ender. Now we don't have to worry about the global, just for the amount of time that I've got the vigilance. I practiced in duels, got plenty of spacing to counter heavy his heavy, even though it looks like it's too far. Now we're going to wait out the global, wait out his thorns damage, and then we're just going to go in for the SP2, and with the power back boost, that's going to put us right back at the SP2. Now I don't want to dex. I'm just going to wait for him to open up between attacks there, between basic attacks. I think he threw a medium there, and I was able to just immediately counter that with the SP2, and that is the fight. So very easy fight if you follow a specific rotation, and that was the war. So BG3, the BG that I am in now, that Lizer is planning for, we did finish with the donuts. Technically, we beat their BG3. They did die once, but I have to admit that their one death was a guidance mishap. They accidentally entered a fight with a pre-fight champ, which is, you know, it's pretty funny. And I think that they're probably laughing about that too, since they ended up winning this war, so it didn't cost them. But so really, BG3s were donut to donut. I know that BG2 was 1-1, and then unfortunately, our BG1 had a rough war this war, and we ended up losing the war 5-3. But you know, as always, a competitive war, lately, It's been competitive against Newn, which is really all we can ask for. We had a chance to win, and maybe at some point in the future we'll finally be able to beat them. But that's it for the war. Leave a like and a comment. Subscribe if you like these videos or if you want to see more, and we'll have another one up for you here in a couple days.